Good afternoon, you beautiful, beautiful people, I say while staring into a lifeless camera lens standing alone in my living room. Totally dropped the ball last week, came back from LA, was just jet lag, knackered, had loads of work to do, didn't get an episode done, so sorry for that. My track record is not great at the moment, but I'm here. We got lots to talk about, lots of videos to go through, so let's get started. So firstly, we have Lorien Bite, or Beat. It's B-I-E-T, I have no idea how to pronounce it. He's from Steel City, which is the team, but also he's from Steel City in the sense that he's from Sheffield. And he's been on the scene for a good few years now, but just recently he's become quite the powerhouse. Lorien is this well-built, strong guy, but he seems to be super explosive and has no problem throwing down some substantial movements and really rapid runs. I think one of my favourite things Lorien does is just the big, awkward, technical dive cat passes. However, the thing I didn't really enjoy about this video was the insanely repetitive song that has clearly been ripped off Audio Jungle, because you can still hear the Audio Jungle in the background of it. Not quite sure why that is there, but just appreciate the movement and try to ignore the song. Next up is a video that, to be honest, should probably have an epilepsy warning at the start of it. It's from a new UK-based team called Strange, and the video is called Stranger Things. This video definitely packs a punch, but it made me notice a trend that seems to be becoming quite common in our community in recent years. It goes like this. A group of guys get together and form a team. They then spend the next 6 months filming all the biggest stuff they can possibly do. Maybe pushing their limits a little too hard, you know, a few sketchy landings and things, but whatever, screw it, you did the really big thing. They then give all the footage to one of their team members, who then gets in the editing suite and just goes fucking ham. And I mean, like, proves he can do every effect in the book. They then unleash this thing on YouTube and it gains a decent amount of views and the new team is established. And don't get me wrong, as I said, this video, it has a huge impact, but it just feels, in a way, a little too familiar. There's so many other videos that have followed the exact same pattern in regards to announcing a team or doing their first video to the same Childish Gambino track or whatever, that it just didn't feel as impactful as it could. I'd almost rather just see these guys, like, at face value, just the skills they can do in a much more raw format, so you can just appreciate the movement, because at the end of the day, that is the most important part. Sorry if it feels like I just took a massive shit on that one particular video, but I just meant it constructively, and it's maybe something to bear in mind for other teams going forward in the future. And now onto something completely raw from Peyton from the NOLA Ninjas. This video is predominantly made up of rapid speed runs that Peyton has clearly been working a lot on recently. There are other training elements in the videos, some cool dynos, precision, stuff like that, but it's the speed stuff that I really enjoyed. The reason being is that you can see how the athlete, in this case Peyton, has gone through each line and refined it down to make it as efficient as possible. They've gone through and found all the little bits where they're sort of struggling or whatever, and fine-tuned all of the movement so that they can get to that endpoint as quickly and as fluidly as possible. And it's, I mean, obviously watching big tricks and big jumps and stuff is super fun, but stuff like this, to see the technicality of it, is just a really fun watch. Next up, we have a video from someone you might be aware of, and that's Darrell Stringley, or Wavezilla, or the Dark Knight, or whatever strange internet persona he seems to be going under nowadays. But all that aside, he's a monster. There's lines in here that I have just had to repeat and repeat while watching them, because they're so technical that they should look difficult. Like, there should be an element of struggle to make that line finish. But he does it as if it's nothing. Darrell has so much power and strength, but also so much control, that he can go from 1 minute doing the biggest lâché that you can possibly comprehend, to then doing the most explosive yet fluid technical line over really minimalistic objects. And he's super well-rounded, and potentially one of my favourite athletes to watch at the moment. My last feature this week goes to Oni PK, with a video that took 4 winters to produce, because he lives in the Arctic Circle. He goes through long periods where he never sees daylight and he's surrounded by snow, yet somehow he has this setup outside of his house that's these pallets stacked up, half of them are covered in ice and snow, and yet he still gets out there and is throwing some really solid stuff. There's a few gnarly bails in there, but I mean, the video is just cool to see someone in these conditions still moving. So now we're on to community news, and I guess the first thing I should touch on is the whole FIG movement, FIs competition, all of that stuff that's going down right now, because that is the talk of the town. I actually found out Apex were dropping out of the competition shortly before I filmed the last episode 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't in a position where I was allowed to say anything because it wasn't public knowledge yet. Hence why I did a very kind of blunt no comment. That being said, I'm still not really going to say much now. There are people who are far more intelligent than me and far more eloquent than me who have written incredible articles, incredible documents that are on Facebook, they're on websites, all regarding this matter. So if you're one of those people who still doesn't really know what's going on, or is kind of hiding their head in the dirt thinking, oh, it's just politics, people are arguing over stuff, like it doesn't affect me, educate yourself. Right now, we need as much unity and support for this thing as we can get, because it is a genuine threat to the future of parkour and free running. No one really knows where it could go or what's going to happen. The competition in Montpellier is happening this weekend. There are still people competing in that, and no one really knows the outcome. If it's all a little bit up in the air right now, and it's a little bit scary. So as I said, we need as much unity as possible because every voice counts. You've probably seen a lot of people writing open letters to the FIG and the movement, which is great because it's just, the more noise the better. So I thought I'd write a letter as well. It's open. I think that's what open letter means. Anyway, on to much more positive news. The much anticipated Stora production, Roof Culture Asia, is getting its London premiere. Saturday the 17th of June. The tickets are on sale now, there's a link in the description below. I'm pretty certain this event will sell out, so get your tickets now. Lastly, there's a load of athletes currently on their way out to China to compete at a competition with the most insane setup I have ever seen. If you haven't seen this yet, here are some photos. Like, I mean, the location itself is called the Heaven's Gate. It's this massive hole in the cliff face, way up in the mountains in some kind of weird region of China. They've built this insane course going down. It's a speed competition and a style competition. The style competition's happening at the lower sort of section of the course. The lineup is stacked. There's some seriously talented people going, and yeah, I'm kind of a little bit blown away by the whole thing. I managed to find a link to the live stream, which I've put in the description below. Unfortunately, I don't know when it starts, when it finishes, anything like this, but hopefully some of the athletes will post it on Facebook and you'll see. Just make a note of the link in the description and try and watch the live stream when it happens, because I'm sure it's going to be mental. And that is all for this episode of Giles Compiles. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I wasn't too rude about videos. Hopefully I was too rude about certain organisations trying to take over our fucking sport. Please submit your videos to gilescompiles@gmail.com and stay tuned to this channel for tomorrow. I will be announcing the next community challenge that will be running under the Motus projects. This one is really exciting. Like, I'm really excited. Goodbye.